Here's another extended argument that we are going to analyze together. The first step is numbering the claims. We're just going to number every claim that is made. And sometimes that requires us to look at the sentences themselves and determine whether that sentence is making a single claim or multiple claims. So that is going to take a little bit of practice. So hopefully this analysis will help you with that. So I went ahead and identified the conclusion. I think the conclusion on this one seems pretty straightforward. Um, what it literally says in the passage is that Sierra College should do this, but then we need to paraphrase that because the this is going to refer to about requiring college students to take a financial literacy general education course. So that is the overall conclusion that the passage is trying to argue for. And it's going to present us with a couple of different sets of reasons. So I've gone ahead and highlighted those in different colors. Again, the arguer has conveniently labeled the first cluster of reasons after the word first here and the second cluster under second. So we know that we have a sub-argument here in green and a sub-argument here in blue. And now the only question is, how are those claims and those sub-arguments related to one another? So let's take a look at our first sub-argument. That's going to consist of claims 2, 3, and 4 in the green highlight here. It says, first, many students graduate with significant debt, but little understanding of interest rates or repayment schedules, which can lead to long-term financial hardship. So to me, that reads that the students graduate with significant debt, and because of that, that leads to long-term financial hardship. But also, students don't have they have very little understanding of interest rates or repayment schedules, and that leads to long-term financial hardship. So both of these claims, 2 and 3, are supporting 4. In that sense, 4, these situations can lead to financial hardship, is a reason given for why Sierra College should require a financial literacy general ed course. But you'll notice that claims 2 and 3, while they do support 4, they do so independently. In other words, because many students, I'm going with claim 2 here, because many students graduate with significant debt, that can lead to financial hardship, which is why they need to take a financial literacy course. But also, many students have a little understanding of interest rates and repayment schedules, and because of that, that can lead to long-term financial hardship, which then supports the idea that they should be required to take a financial literacy general ed course. So the point I'm getting at is they each support 4 independently. They don't depend on each other. You could just have 2 supporting 4, which supports 1, and you could also just have 3 supporting 4, which supports 1. So their 2 and 3 are not linked together. These are convergent premises because they can stand independently. And they're here even though they're clustered in the same grammatical sentence. They are offered independently as separate reasons for why students may face long-term financial hardship. So I recommend that you use that test, the because test. Just put because before something and see if it supports the other claim, and see if the other claim, which can exist independently, can also exist simply by putting a because of it in front of it. And you'll see that when you do that with claims 2 and 3, they both independently support 4. Now let's take a look at the second subargument that contains claims 5 and 6. Claim 5 explains how financial literacy can improve students' daily decision making. And then claim 6 builds on that effect and says that better decision making can help students learn to live within their budget. So this forms a chain of reasoning where 6 depends on 5, and 6 supports 1 as an intermediate conclusion. So this is a chain of reasoning. 5 supports 6, which supports 1, because you can't get to 6 without 5. That is, you don't get students learning to live within their budget without the financial literacy improving students' daily decision making. So that's why it's a chain argument where 6 depends on 5, and then in turn 6 supports the overall conclusion for the need to have a required financial literacy general education course. So our only claim that we haven't included in the diagram is claim 7. There have been some conversations about requiring college students to take a financial literacy general education course. Again, that is just setting up the context for the overall conclusion. And since it's only context and doesn't have any argumentative function, it's not a reason, it's not an intermediate conclusion, we can write it down here and include it in the diagram, but we won't connect it as a premise or as part of any sub-argument here. And so when we put it off here by itself, unconnected to the conclusion, we're just identifying that we recognize that this is a claim in the passage, but it's an extra claim. It has no argumentative function as it relates to the overall conclusion. Okay, hope that helps. If you have any questions, send me a message through Canvas and we will go from there.